Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us for this and taking the time to learn about this Six Sigma that Jide is going to walk us through. Jide, are you able to share your screen yet?
Yes, I should be able to. No, it said host disable participant screen share.
Here, one moment. Does that work?
I think so. Yes. Thank you.
Great. So thank you all again for joining us and for taking the time. Jide, I'll let you introduce yourself in just a second. But just to sort of go over what this is going to look like for everybody, we're going to have an opportunity to learn a lot from Jide about what selling with Six Sigma is, and there'll be a little bit of participation. And so if you're a participant and you're willing to communicate with us via video, raise your hand and I'll add you as a panelist and you'll be able to join on video and audio. If not, feel free just to work within either the chat or the Q&A functionality, and we can go from there. So if anybody wants to raise their hand, I'll add them. And then we can talk via video. So let me know if anybody wants to do that. I'll give you just a second.
So
All
Dr.
right.
Michael Caston is raising his hand.
Absolutely, Michael Caston.
So two participants raise their hands already.
Yep, we've got Jonathan and Michael. I'm going to turn off my video so that it's just you guys. And then give me a moment. I'm having a little bit of difficulty making Jonathan and Michael hosts or panelists.
That's fine.
Oh, you know what, Jide? Are you able to do it? I made you the host of the meeting.
Oh yeah.
You'll have to add
yeah.
Michael and Jonathan if you can.
So how do I do? Okay. How do I do that?
On participants, you'll be able to click on their name and it'll say make panelist.
Okay.
You can do that.
Let's make panelists more. That's Jonathan.
Jonathan and then Michael, Dr. Caston.
Promoted. Yeah, I did that. And Dr. Michael Caston. Yep. There you go.
Great. All right. Well, Jide, I'll leave it up to you to really take point with this and go from there. So thank you all very much again for joining.
So hi, everybody. It's a privilege to talk to us about selling with Six Sigma. And I want to congratulate everyone who's able to make it for this workshop. It promises to be enlightening and also an inspiration to take this to the next level. Scott, if you don't mind, I would like to ask some questions. So I would like to make a couple of the participants, or probably all of them, panelists, so they can answer questions. Is that okay? Awesome. Thank you. All right. So in the chart section, I would like you guys to tell me in just one sentence your name and your business, what you're trying to sell or what you're trying to promote. This is to enable me build some kind of solution going forward to what you're trying to sell or trying to promote. So just do that in the chat section. Just type your name, and apart from Dr. Caston, thank you so much for joining in. I appreciate your presence here. Thank you. And thank you, Scott, for also being here. So let's go in. I will share my screen. If you have some questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Don't hesitate to ask or stop me. As we go on, I would also ask a question. You guys would. So the first thing I would like to do is a small exercise, right? Everyone could see everyone right now. If you're not hiding your face, for those of us who can see each other, what I want you to do is to, in 30 seconds, and I've just enabled everyone to be some kind of, to be able to share their screen. I just enabled everyone to be able to share their screen. So what I want you guys to do is to look at someone on someone's face and try to sketch the geometry of their face. I'm going somewhere with this. Sketch the geometry of their face on your whiteboard, right? Yeah. So I'm seeing Grace, for example. With due respect, she has a circular face geometry, for example. So you just draw that on the whiteboard, and I'll give you 30 seconds to do that, and then you share that with that in 1 second on the screen. Does everybody understand that? Yeah. Okay. So your time starts now. Just take someone's face, write their name, and then just sketch the geometry of the face: triangular, quadrilateral, circular, square shape, right? And just do that in 30 seconds. Okay, you have 15 seconds more. You have 8 seconds more. There you go. All right. Thank you, everyone. So we want to go first. Share your screen and let us see the name of the person that you have sketched, whose face you have sketched. Can we see? Jonathan, great. Michael, oh, that's a beautiful, awesome. Okay,
just like
thank you.
I also did Michael.
You also did Michael? Okay,
I
let's
also
see.
did Michael.
Okay, you can share your screen right now. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's a nice geometry. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other person want to share? Welcome, Dami. Welcome, Garrett. Any other person want to next? Jane, you want to share? Did you draw someone's face real quick? No? Yeah.
No. Just joined.
Okay. You want to share? Okay. Oh, you drew it on paper?
Are you talking to me? I'm sorry. I just joined the meeting.
Okay.
A little
Okay.
late.
No problem. No problem. You can mute your speaker. Okay. All right. Where I'm going with these is whilst we are waiting for others, but I think because of time, we can't wait for everyone. Where I'm going with these is there's a guy called McKean, and he's an activity strategist in Stanford, and he came up with this idea, and he usually do create this kind of activity before his creativity class. And he will tell students to draw the shape of the face of the person sitting next to them. And we'll have these weird pictures like the one we saw here, the one from Simon that we saw recently. And this guy, and you will hear comments like, oh, wow, is that my face? Oh, then you hear things like, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So people get embarrassed when they turn the results of the sketch to their neighbor. They say, they show the person that this is what your face looks like, and you hear things like, this is not me. I mean, this is, and the person gets embarrassed that, oh, I'm sorry, and say things like, I'm sorry, and it tells them, okay, do it again. And then you have a result that is now more modest and more formal because people by their first outcome of the experiment. And McKean said that he took instruction from that, and he said people's creativity gets stifled from feedback. So when people get a wrong feedback about whatever they're designing, right, there's a tendency that they get drawn in because the first feedback they got from whoever is assessing whatever they didn't give them a right feedback. And I'm going somewhere with this. That then means that if you're ever going to sell anything, you have to first be sold to that thing first yourself, right? Because if you're not sold to whatever you're selling, people will get you discouraged. Like, you can get some feedback that will stifle your creativity. Instead of drawing insight from feedback, you get discouraged, you get disgruntled, and you're now conforming to what people are saying. Then I hear people say also that but the whole idea of selling is to create what customer wants, right? And this is what customers say they want. So it was Steve Jobs that said creativity. So you build your experiences from all of this feedback, you draw insight from it, and create something that is better based on what the customer says. Because if you get drawn in about the feedbacks, most times that will be negative, especially when you're just starting, like many of us. You will get drawn in, and you'll not be able to draw valuable insights from the data you're getting from customers. It was Steve Jobs that says creativity is just connecting things. When you ask creative people how they do something, they feel a little guilty because they didn't really do it. They just saw something. It seemed obvious to them after a while, that because they were able to connect experiences they have had and synthesize new things from those experiences. And that is golden, because you have to be sold to whatever you're doing first. That's the whole essence here. And that takes me to selling with Six Sigma. Selling with Six Sigma. We will look at what that is, what is Six Sigma, and how do we tie that to selling. So my objectives today is very brief. I'm trying to sell to you guys a 3-month content in 1 hour. So we'll see how that goes. But my aim is to inspire you to take this to another level, right? To be able to draw or gather information that you will apply to your product, and then sit back and see how you draw insight from data and from information to build solid relationship with customers, and also add value to your brand. Okay, so I'm going to give you a brief introduction to Six Sigma methodology. We're going to do an article review. I sent this article out. I hope some of us have been able to glance through it. Then the day 2, which happens to be Wednesday, we would actually take a case study and see how we can a step-by-step application. Again, that will be high level, because it's 3 months and content, and we'll try to break that down in a couple of slides. Okay, so because of time, we'll not be able to do one-on-one introduction. I've asked that you guys go to the chart section and just type in your name and the name of your company in 1 second, so I can see who and what you are trying to sell, and be able to help you with that as we go on in this workshop. All right. So what actually is selling, right? Well, who wants to try it? Who wants to say something about what is selling? What do you understand by selling? Anybody want to give it a shot? How do you intend to sell your product?
For me, selling is convincing somebody else to part with their hard-earned money in exchange for some fulfillment of a need.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Caston. Absolutely. Yeah, basically that's what it is. And to add to that, I would like to say here that every entrepreneur has something, an idea or a product or a service that they intend to sell, right? Either you're trying to woo a lady, or or you're trying to sell a product, or you're trying to sell a service, right? You're trying to persuade or influence someone to do something that they ordinarily would not want to do. And that's why I like the fact that Dr. Caston said, part with the hard hand money. You have to have the requisite skill to be able to do that. In actual fact, right, selling is what you're actually selling is emotion. You're selling good feelings, because when people buy what you sell to them and they feel good about it, they would come back, right? They will patronize you the next time, because when they buy that product, it solved the problem and then it made them happy, right? Or made them sad. So what you're actually selling is good feelings. You're selling emotions, right? That's exactly what you're selling. And you have to understand that. Basically, what we sell is emotion. So how then do you sell based on emotion, or how do you sell? What is the process involved in selling? And I need to build this foundation before we get into Six Sigma and how we can apply that into selling. Well, there are several steps or processes involved in selling, and those two can be summarized into what we call communication. You have to have a powerful communicating skill, interpersonal skill that transcends location, race, that transcends position, status, and all of those things, to be able to reach people where they are and sell your product to them. You have to have I shared this a long time ago. Communication is so powerful, even if you're selling nonsense. But the fact that you're able to communicate powerfully well. I watched this TED Talk some time ago, and this lady was singing a song, and people were crying. They were just, it was so emotional, and people were crying. And at the end of the song, then they asked the participant and said, "Can you tell us what this woman was singing about?" And none of them said, "Well, I don't know." Why are you crying then? That's instructive, because it then means that it's actually not what you sell, right? But the way you sell it. The way you sell it is very important. More important, it was Steve Jobs again that says that he noticed that the Japanese company were not really interested in the quality of their marketing, but they were consistent with the quality of their products. And the United States company put so much effort in the quality of the marketing that they discovered that they were not selling as much as the Japanese company. So he was wondering what was the problem, then discovered that the quality that goes into how the Japanese company were producing and communicating that product to their buyers was what made the difference. So this is very key here, that you have to develop a powerful communication skill to be able to sell anything, and interpersonal skill is powerful. Another key skill that is required is knowledge, right? You have to have the knowledge of what you are selling, the knowledge of your audience, who is buying your products. You have to have the knowledge of how your product is affecting the lives of those who use them. Because the goal of knowledge is transformation, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know something, you can't measure it, you can't control it, you can't manage it. So knowledge is very key. As a salesperson, you have to have a knowledge of your own strengths and weaknesses, your own proclivities towards what you sell, and you have to understand also how your customer is responding to what you're selling. So those things are key. I can summarize the process of selling into two powerful skills, which is communicating and knowledge. And that's very, very interesting to know. It is what you know that leads you to the edge and knowledge. So if you know your customer, you know them well, and you understand how they relate with your product, you can have a large chunk of the market share just because you understand them. There's a relationship. So it's about relationship with your customer. And Six Sigma will help you develop that relationship, will help you build that powerful relationship with your customer, will help you gain deep insights from the data that you get from your customer and draw valuable products or create valuable product or improve on the product that you already have, whether it be a tangible product or services, or whether you are an NGO, right? You all have beneficiaries. If you're an NGO, there are beneficiaries of your products. And to be able to communicate with your beneficiary that you become a critical shoulder that they rely on, it's powerful. And you can't do that in the dark. You can't wink to someone in the dark. They won't see you. So Six Sigma is supposed to help you become visible in the market sphere and become powerful in relating to them and creating services and products that are valuable, not just creating something and shoving it down your throat and accepting that they will have it. You are creating something that is key, that is required, that is meeting needs, and that are making people happy and solving problems. Right. So what is Six Sigma? JD, what does this buzzword, what does it mean? And you don't have to be technical to understand this. And my task is, at the end of this workshop, you will want to take the full program and get certified in this and start doing great things. And I'm going to share personal testimonies of how this helped me even while I'm here in the United States. How this gave me a 3 months promotion when I got into Amazon. So all of this I will share just to inspire you guys that this is not just statistical tools. This is power that can help you sell your business and make it so valuable to people. All right, so well, Six Sigma it's a rigorous methodology that helps you one, reduce waste, and two, create products that are needed, right? Products that are needed, not just creating products that are needed, services that are needed, and it's a systematic, rigorous methodology that is broken down into 5 spheres. And the first one is called define phase. We'll look at that. The second is the measure. Third is analyze. Fourth is improve. And fifth is control. We'll look at that just on the surface, and then we'll drill down some other time. All right. So there's this article that we distributed. Has anybody looked at it? Do you want to share what you learned from that Harvard article? Anybody?
I can share, JD.
Thank you, Dr. Caston.
Yeah, so the essence of the article is you need to take a more micro view instead of a macro view when you're trying to improve the culture and the quality of the 2 things, your employee interactions or engagement and your customer engagement.
Awesome. You mentioned micro view, micro perspective instead of macro perspective, and I'm going to touch a little bit on that before we go to the next slide. Does anybody have any other contribution? Did anybody read it though? I know we all had a busy week, but I would encourage you guys to maybe in future go through this, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you have a product that you're working on. it's not just important, it's urgency that you harm yourself with this knowledge going forward. Yeah, so please try and look at the article. Okay, so this article talking about Dr. Castinger, nice summary of the whole thing. There's a difference between Six Sigma and Human Sigma. Well, the Human Sigma aspect of it is just what we spoke earlier on, right? You are creating a product or a service, right? I'm an engineer, so I'm inclined towards product aspect. So, but this does not limit us to the product. It also transcends product to services, right? So you have a service that you're creating or a product. You've done that using Six Sigma processes or with some skill set, engineering or management skill set, and you have a service or you have a product. But say I have a handset that my company just created, and we've done that, and it's beautiful, it's powerful, and it's working well. But who sells this handset? Well, you have a set of people in your organization that will go out and sell this handset, will use technology to sell it, will interface with customers and sell the product. Now, this article says, and it was based on an experiment that was done by Gallup. Gallup went out and did some analysis, took data of how customer and employee engagement affect the bottom line, right? Because the way you feel about the process that you manage, and I'm using the word feeling again, which is emotion, the way you feel about the process that you manage will affect the outcome of that process. I can say that again. So if I'm a teller that works in a bank, or I work as an insurance person and I relate directly with people, and I got disgruntled because I have issues at home, and I'm not able to manage that emotion, and I go out and transfer that aggression or transfer that feeling to my customer. What I've just done is I have just sold a wrong expression to the person. Now I'm supposed to sell a handphone, or sell an insurance, or sell a service, or sell some ideals to some beneficiary of an NGO. I'm supposed to do all of that. But because I'm not able to control my emotion, I'm selling a wrong impression, and you usually don't have a second opportunity to make a first impression. So you sell that out, and the person buys that and tag your organization and said, man, I don't know if any of you, I'm not going to mention name, when I first got here, I wanted to install an internet in my house. And I got this internet, it starts with F, I'm not going to mention internet supplier. And they told me, hey, we'll be here, we'll be there we have to run an optical cable. What we used to have there was hold. This happened in California. So we have to run a new optical cable. And they said they'll be there by 3 that day. They did not come. So I said, what? I've paid. And I called them again. And I said, oh, yeah, sorry, they'll get back to you. I called again the next day. And they said, oh, yeah, I was sorry. Oh, yeah, okay, we'll get back to you. This is after they put you through some calls. This is blah, 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 blah. Okay, press 1 if you have to say this, press 2 if you have to do this, press 3 if you have to do. I mean, it was frustrating that I had to call their manager and say, please refund my money. I'm no longer interested in your service. Right? Many of us have experienced that kind of thing, right? With the banks, with all that, you call, you want to get the problem solved real quick and move on. But what you have is they keep transferring you here, there, and you keep repeating the whole scenario again to the new customer person. That is a problem, right? And you just sometimes wish, oh, I just wish I don't have to work with these guys. So where am I going with this? It's important to understand the human-to-human interaction, which is now more powerful, like we said earlier, which is now more powerful than just trying to sell someone a gadget or sell someone a service, right? This interaction, and that is what the human sigma is talking about, right? To consider that micro relationship, right? Look at that, drill down and see that relationship between me that is now representing the institution, representing an NGO, representing a company, representing a university, and the person that is trying to do business with that entity, right? And this is very powerful. And that is what, and Gallup discovered that the companies who considered the one-on-one relationship more than what they're trying to sell did 20% better than the organization who are just concerned about the products. They did better, and the article showed a lot of data and things like that there. So I would encourage you to please look at that. It will really help you. So how is value created in sales and services? Well, value is created. I'll leave these questions for you to answer, but I'll just do the first one. The value is created by that, I mean, putting more emphasis on that one-on-one relationship, and making sure that your employees are satisfied. During the pitch for the acceleration program, I'm not going to mention, there's a guy that I listened to and I said, wow, this guy has a powerful leadership skill. This is what he said. He said, well, I'm asking for this money because I have 3 people working with me. I need to pay them weekly. I need to be ensured they're fine so they can put in their best to do this work. And I said, wow, that is awesome. That is it, right? So when your employees are engaged, I'm not just talking about just being engaged doing the job. I'm talking about they're engaged with your vision, right? They are sold to your business. They like the idea, and your vision has become their vision statement. There is a nexus that exists between their personal vision and your organizational vision. That nexus will deliver on value, will deliver on power, will deliver on bottom line. And a good leader needs to recognize that the people who work with me, I'm not using the word for me now, the people who work with me, someone, okay, there's a chat here. Oh, all right. Yeah. The people who work with me need to be engaged. Then you're thinking powerfully, you're thinking strategically, you're thinking that's the way to go, right? So Gallup also discovered that for every organization that they audit, right, that about only 21% are engaged, about 70% are disengaged, and about 21% or about I think 20% or so, can't remember the actual value now, are actively disengaged. Wow, actively disengaged, which means negative reputation, negative value being sold once there's a one-on-one relationship or contact with customers. Now imagine if you have 1,000 or 1,000 of those one-on-one relationship selling disgruntled service or painting a wrong picture about your organization. That's a loss to your organization. And that's why it's important, and I'm using this opportunity, that you understand emotional intelligence. This is foreign to engineers because we're used to numbers, right? We just like to calculate and solve problems. I don't care if I step on your toe. I don't care if I step on your head. Just give me the values, right? Right. So it's important that we understand that going forward. And this is one of the things that Six Sigma will help us develop, because Six Sigma will open your eyes to seeing that gap. Okay. All right. Now, so successful entrepreneurs will set and strive to achieve selling objectives. You have to understand your goals, your selling goals, your mission, your vision. Like we said earlier, you have to be sold to these things first. Then in addition, you have to consider where your service or your product is in the big picture. Take it or leave it. There are companies doing better than you right now. Of course, you're just starting, right? But so there are companies that exist there in this in the playbook or on the playfield that are doing tremendously well. Well, how do I get up to them? Start by benchmarking those people and using the metrics as a standard to build yours. And this is what Facebook did. Time will not permit me to go into details about how Mark, he had legal issues when he first started. I think in Harvard. Yeah. So when he first started, he had legal issues. So he was benchmarking that he was also involved with. There's another website that were taking pictures of ladies and comparing who is fine, who is not fine, and all of those things. And then he started building on its product, and look at where he is today. Another person is Amazon, Jeff Bezos, when we go into the full program, I'll drill down into this concept of how these people use benchmarking strategies to build their own product. So you need to understand. You also need to understand your strengths. The strength of your service or your product in light of the big picture. So what is my service lacking? What is the strength of my service? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities here for me? And what are the threats? You need to understand that so deeply because that will then inform your improvement process going forward. So on a big high-level perspective, Lean is added to Six Sigma. What is Lean? Well, Lean is a theory that started in Japan by Toyota. They started saying, wait, we can reduce waste, right? We can reduce waste, inventory costs, and all of those things by producing what only customers need. So I'm not stocking my garage with items that waiting for people to then order. Then I then take those things and deliver to them. No, they're using data and to forecast customer demands, and their hands ready to work. So when they get a demand, then they go to work and produce. So they don't have inventory, and they're not paying for inventory. There's no holding costs. There's no inventory cost. So what is the thing here is, if you look at this high level math here, we have revenue 1,000, cost 30,000. If I can drive down this cost, then my profit will increase, right? So Lean will help you drive down the cost. Six Sigma will help you increase the revenue. And that's the whole item. And that's the next slide here. So you have Design for Six Sigma. Design for Six Sigma is a methodology that you've used in designing the product. And then you use Six Sigma and Lean to remove defects, inefficiencies, problematic resources, because you're creating what the customer requires, right? Let's take an NGO, for example. There's a case of violation. There are cases of violation that pervades a space. You know that because you've gotten data from people, right? So you're building a service based on the data that you have that, hey, okay, what can we do better to address this problem? Because you have information, you have knowledge, right? And then you have the service in form of an NGO to address that problem, which will keep evolving because it's not cast in stone, because people's needs are insatiable. It will keep changing every month, every week, every year. And you have to be nimble or swift to also adapt as the case arises, which means your data hears or sends must always be active, right? You must also keep your ears on ground. You are creating a nervous system that you're communicating with. I hope I'm not talking above your heads right now. So you have a product that is out there or service out there. That service or product need to be living. By living, it needs to talk to you back. So in 10 years from now or 5 years from now, it's still talking to you, because that's how we grow. You have a child, you see that there is a need because you're exchanging with the child, you're communicating with the child, right? You know that this guy is deficient in math because you know that because you're communicating. So you're not just putting a product out there and folding your hands. There has to be some kind of relationship, continuous relationship that will inspire or drive continuous improvement. Right. So, and that's what Six Sigma will help you do. Okay. So what is Six Sigma essentially? Well, though the statistical term Six Sigma refers to a measure of variance. A measure of variance, it has evolved as a discipline to include many aspects of business performance. I would like to share something here real quick. Share screen. All right. So if you usually many natural events follow this bell curve. Even the COVID-19 that we're experiencing right now, it will start and peaks and then will level out. That's just how many natural, there are other distribution. There's a Poisson distribution, there's a binomial distribution, but many natural occurrences will follow a normal distribution like so. This is called a normal distribution. Well, what does this mean? Well, if there is a mean or a target, there's a target right there, and there are tolerances. Say I am Papa John, for example, and I like my pizza. I like my pizza to be 73 degrees Fahrenheit hot, and I like it to be delivered on time. I like it to be delivered on time. Well, these are my requirements. If it's an NGO, well, you need to have metrics, or you need to have a measure to capture what the customer really wants, right? You think this is what they want, right? Because you have data that you're using, but that might not be really what they want. So how do you get this information? Well, questionnaires, focus group, a one-on-one interaction, several ways. So, well, you can develop a tolerance. Since I want my pizza to be 73 degree hot, you can develop a tolerance. You can say, since this is my target, 70 degree Fahrenheit. Well, I can have it. I don't mind, from customer survey, I don't mind to have a 72.9. People don't mind that, and people also don't mind to be a little bit hotter, 70 degree Fahrenheit, right? There will usually be variation, right? This variation is the area under the curve. There will usually be variation, right? Up to, so here is the lower bound or lower tolerance level, and here is the upper tolerance level, right? Now, anything here is a waste. It's a waste. Anything beyond here. So if they bring pizza that is 69 degree Fahrenheit, I don't like it. Take your pizza back. It's too cold. So that's a waste for the company, and someone needs to pay for that. If it's too hot, they don't like it. That's also a waste for the company, and someone needs to pay for that. So all this waste, the essence of Six Sigma is to use this concept of variation from the mean to reduce these excesses, these waste levels, to cut them down to as minimal as possible, that will not go beyond 6 sigma. So from the mean to the left-hand side is -6 sigma. From the mean to the right-hand side is -6 sigma with 1.5 sigma shift. Well, you will understand this when we do the major this thing. These are a lot of the bit technical things here, and we'll talk about that much later. Okay, and so that's the whole idea of 6 sigma. Is deeper than that, but that's just a high-level explanation of the technical aspect of that there. So 6 sigma is based essentially on the concept of y equals to x. So I'm going to go back again. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back again. We're almost done with this. Just bear with me. I'm going to go back here again. It's based on the concept of y equals x. Now, don't get too scared if you're not an engineer here. I will explain what this means. You see, the concept of 6 sigma revolves around the theory of cause and effect. Cause and effect. Right. So there is something that is causing what we are seeing. There is something that is causing the spread of the coronavirus. Right. If I can lay my hands on that thing and nip it at the butt and stop it, then the effect will be minimal. Exactly the same thing. Now, there are tons of 6 sigma and total quality management tools that are used to achieve this. And that's the whole essence of what 6 sigma is. So let's go back to my Papa John's pizza again. I've said I want my pizza to be this hot and on time. Right? These are my customer requirements. Customer requirements. And how did I get this? From survey, right? From survey, from focus group, from sentiment analysis, from pain point analysis, and all of those things. You are able to come out to get this, okay, that for the pain of my customer to reduce, then they want their they want their pizza to be served at 73 degrees Fahrenheit and on time. Awesome. So here's the thing. That is your why. That is your output, right? Your output. What can I do internally to change this output, to make sure that every time my delivery person goes to serve you pizza, they are always bringing it at 73 degrees Fahrenheit and on time? How do I do that? Well, I can work internally to make sure my oven does not fluctuate, right? So that anytime I'm getting values that are away from the tolerance, then there is something wrong with my oven, right? So I can go to my oven and then perform other checks. Why is the oven fluctuating? Well, because of shift, because of training. So there are tools that are used to drill down to the core. So this is called key output or key process output variables, right? While these guys here are called, and these guys can be, it can be x1, x2, x3, x4 to xn, where xn, x1, x2, x3, x4 are all variables that affects the customer requirements, right? And there are tools that help me funnel down all the x's to the critical few by removing the trivial many, law of Pareto. So Pareto says that 30% of something is responsible for 70% of outcome. How do I drill down to those 30%? How do I make sure that I capture the required 30% that is causing the 70% twist in my output variables? So there are also tools that are used in doing that. I think I'm overshooting time. I have 9 minutes more. All right. So let's round this up real quick. I'm going to go back to my slides. So this is essentially what this is all about. So this guy here is my Y, right? And this guy here is my X. right? So this is the transfer function that maps Y on X, right? So that's the whole concept of Six Sigma. And Six Sigma seek to remove variability in your process. That each time Papa John delivers pizza to your house, for example, it's always what you want, because inherent in every process, there are variability inherent. I don't know how it happens before, but now with a lot of knowledge, I can say, okay, I think I understand why there's. Ask yourself this time, if you set this question, you set your timer to wake up 6 a.m. every morning. I can assure you that you're not going to wake up 6 a.m. every morning. Sometimes you wake up earlier and you ask yourself, what just woke me up right now? Or you wake up, even when the alarm sounds, you bang it and go back to sleep. So there's always a variability in even if you set a target, you are not always going to eat that target. There will be some variability. And if those variabilities are high enough away from what you require, say I want to wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm waking up at 8 a.m. for a 7 a.m. interview, then that's not acceptable, right? So you get an idea of because variability is the enemy of quality. What is quality? Quality is delivering on what your beneficiaries or customer wants all the time. All the time. That's quality. But variability says no, right? You can deliver sometimes, and sometimes you are allowed to deliver less. No. So Six Sigma seek to remove this variability using some very powerful tools. Look at this. So a Six Sigma will yield 99.9997%. A Six Sigma process will yield this amount. All these terms you will understand when we go deeper. And the cost of poor quality is just less than 10%. That's not bad. But look at what Five Sigma yields. It yields a Six Sigma will yield just 3.4 out of 1 million opportunity. That's like zero. So what do we mean by million opportunity? Well, if Papa John is delivering pizza to you 1 million times, chances are, and I use the word chances are, that they will deliver only 3.4 errors, which means 3.4 time of the time they will deliver pizza that is too cold or too hot. That's like it will never happen in 1 million times, 1 million delivery. That's powerful. It's actually not 3.4, it's actually 2. But due to Sigma shift of 1.5, then we got to 3.4. Now look at Five Sigma. Some companies who operate on Five Sigma deliver 233 errors per 1 million opportunity. That's a lot, right? So to drill down this understanding, look at this. For a Three Sigma process, have a defect rate of approximately 7%. Virtually no modern computer will function. About 10,800,000 healthcare claims will be about 10 million will be that. About 54 checks will be lost, and so on and so forth. 270 million erroneous credit card transaction, and so on. Look at 1 million defect rate. 1% defect rate. Just 1%. Some people will say, well, that's not bad. But look at the implication. 20,000 lost article of mail per hour. You can ask UPS. UPS is this one. Unsafe drinking water, almost 15 minutes per day. 5,000 incorrect surgical operation per week. 200,000 wrong drug prescription each year. No electricity for almost 7 hours per month. That's a lot. So how did Six Sigma start? It started from a company called Motorola. They were producing a TV set called Quasar. And Quasar was doing bad, and they brought in these Japanese guys who then changed the way Motorola run. From a company that was making losses, they start making a lot of profit. Plus the Quasar TV now sold lesser than what it used to sell for. And the US team said, wow, how is that? How was that done? Well, the father of Six Sigma was actually Bill Smith, who was at Motorola then, who came up with this quality management methodology, learning from Japanese ideals, and he came up with the Six Sigma methodology that took Six Sigma to win the Malcolm Baldrige Quality Award. Although Six Sigma is down now, Motorola is down now due to other issues, leadership issue. And I need to say here that Six Sigma is a leadership tool. You have to get the buy-in of leadership for you to implement Six Sigma in your organization. And then General Electric took it, Jack Welch, blessed memory, took this Six Sigma ideal and fly with it and became powerful organization. And today we have companies like Amazon and Samsung, Chevron. The one that interests me is University of Miami. They're using Six Sigma for their admission process to understand the pain points of those who will get into the school and develop programs that meet the requirements of this new intakes. Six Sigma is divided into define, measure, analyze, improve, control phase. The define phase is essentially understanding what the problem is. Once you understand the problem, I think my time is up. Hold on a second, let's see that. Yeah, 1 minute more. Let me power through this real quick. So you have the define phase, and the define phase is basically what the problem is, understanding the whys that is being influenced by the X's of our processes. Then the measure phase is using tools, statistical tools and other tools to measure as is. The as is how is our product running in the big picture scheme of things, and what is the gap, to kind of do a gap analysis. And then you analyze the result from measure phase, and then you start improving it. There are tools using design of experiments, Pareto analysis, failure mode and effect analysis, and all of those things, and then come up with a result. Then you set control in place so that you don't go back to status quo. And that is essentially what Six Sigma is all about. I'm going to send this to everybody as a job aid article document to help you understand. I wanted to give rooms for questions. This is over, but we're done. So I'll just like to share this with you guys to inspire you to take this to another level. So when I got here to the United States, the first job I got was a picker in Amazon, right? I was picking items. That's the lowest level in Amazon, right? You make an order, and in the fulfillment center, someone needs to pick that order in the warehouse, right? So I was doing that, and I was grumbling that I'm more than this. Why am I doing? But because I don't have papers and all of that, I have to start from the scratch. So I was there, and I was saying, and there's something called an andon. An andon is a Japanese word for calling a subject matter expert when you have problem on your duty post. You have a problem, you pull an andon, there's a button you press, and a subject matter expert will respond to you and solve the problem. So, but I noticed that every morning when we resume at work, you pull an andon, right? The subject matter expert will come swiftly, but as you go into the day, the response time begins to drop. And I say, what's going on here? No, logically, people are tired, right? That's what we think, but that's not the case. So I started picking data. I started taking data, and when I pull an andon, I start recording the time. And I discovered something interesting, that it was the way the job floor was arranged, right, that causes the problem. So I documented it, did a little bit of maths, documented everything, and submitted to my supervisor. And he said, what? Are you a Six Sigma person? I said, yes. Are you a black belt? I said, oh, man, we're going to include you in the process improvement team. And that's how I got a promotion in 3 months from a tier 1 to a supervisor level, just because of the Six Sigma knowledge. And today they're using that knowledge to arrange the spaghetti pattern layout that they have on the job floor. All right, let's take questions. We're done. Yeah.
Jide, I wanna start off by thanking you so much for doing this. And I know a few people have to hop off and join class, myself included.
Sure.
So I'll let you take it from here, but just end the meeting when you're done. And thank you guys all so much for joining us.
Thank you, Scott.
Sure
thank you so much.
Yeah. And then just make sure you guys register for part 2. I sent the link in the chat box. But I look forward to seeing most of you guys on Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Looks like there's no question. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. And if there's no question, all right. Okay.